Welcome into Buffalo Bills Weekly, a show where we keep you in the know about your favorite team. He's Chris Brown, I'm Maddy Glab. After 2 straight losses, the Bills picked up a convincing 31-point victory over Carolina. It started in the trenches. The defensive line was dominant, picking up 3 takeaways. The offense turned those takeaways into 17 points. It was a total team effort.
It was a total team effort. Encouraging to see. They improved their play in a lot of areas as well as their execution. I think we all know it's a major step up from a backup quarterback in Carolina to maybe one of the hottest quarterbacks in football right now in Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, definitely. A different quarterback who you're going to see in Week 9, but it's a win that you need to see going into Kansas City Chiefs Week. Buffalo's rushing offense could not be stopped against Carolina. Running back James Cook was the star of the show. He ran hard with purpose, a career-high 216 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. How are we seeing him become the focal point of Buffalo's offense?
Because nobody can really stop the Bills' running game right now, and Joe Brady, along with a lot of other offensive coordinators in the league, are smart enough to know that if we got something that's working, no reason to go away from it until its opposing defense can prove they can stop it. And Carolina really could not stop that toss play until the 4th quarter when James Cook was out of the game. So credit to the offensive line. Aaron Cromer, the offensive line coach who works with Joe Brady on designing the run game scheme. Everybody gets A+ across the board. Again, I will mention, the Bills are facing a step up in competition. They're facing a Chiefs defense that held the number 2 rushing offense in the Commanders last week to 60 yards on the ground. It's going to be a very, very interesting matchup this week.
Okay, you're going up against a tough rushing defense in the Chiefs, but James Cook is such a weapon. How could using him in the pass game be good for Buffalo on Sunday?
I think you can get him a mismatch in space. I think Joe Brady is a smart enough coordinator where he can facilitate the matchups to put Cook in an advantageous situation. And sometimes that's lining him up in the backfield. They're expecting run. They've got 3 linebackers on the field. Now you split them out with late motion, and now you've got James Cook on a linebacker. Advantage Bills.
Buffalo's defense had their best game of the season in Week 8. They were physical, played with attitude, and they didn't take their foot off the gas till the very end. 7 sacks, 3 takeaways. Who had the biggest spark?
It's hard not to say Michael Hoyt. I mean, in his debut for the Bills, he was playing like his hair was on fire, which is kind of hard because he shaves his head. But all that being said, his energy was infectious on that side of the ball. And then he was a major headache for the Carolina Panthers. By the 3rd quarter, they were double teaming him. And what that did was it created one-on-one opportunities for other players like Greg Rousseau, Joey Bosa, even Jordan Phillips inside who got a late sack. So he was a force multiplier for this defense, and hopefully that continues.
It was awesome to see one player help an entire defensive line come alive, and Sean McDermott said it. He was the tone setter for our defense against Carolina. We got our first dose of rookie cornerback Maxwell Harrison as he came back from a knee injury, played in 44% of the snaps. He was physical, and you saw he could keep up with some of the fast receivers.
Yeah, I was encouraged by what we saw from him in his debut with the Bills. I think we all were kind of hesitant as to exactly what to expect there, but 27 snaps is good ramp-up work for, again, a big step up in competition this week. But now the Bills have a corner on the back end who can run with some of these speed demon receivers that the Chiefs are going to put on the field. I'm not a coordinator. If it was up to me, I'd go, there's number 1, Xavier Worthy. Just follow him everywhere today and keep him under wraps because he was a major headache for the Bills last year.
A lot of people say Xavier Worthy is a cheat code for an offense. Well, Buffalo's got their own cheat code in Maxwell Harrison. We're going to take a break, but when we return, the best press conference clips coming up next. And later on, we're diving into Mitch Morse's Morse Code.
I'm very confident in the players that we got. I'm very confident in myself. Obviously starts with me. I got to be better when we have those opportunities. When we had an opportunity this week against a team that's been the best team in the league for a really long time. They're playing really good football right now, so we got to put our best foot forward, have a good week of practice, and go out there and execute on Sunday. Yeah, I think we've played them, damn near every year since I've gotten here. I guess you can look at it from a perspective of we kind of understand what they try to do to us, but there's jabs, there's counters, You know, there's different things that you can do throughout seeing each other throughout the years of making things look the same but being completely different. So again, just kind of with division games, you kind of go into it like, hey, let's listen to our base rules. Let's not try to chase anything, and then just, you know, play it with your eyes and be reactive as possible.
Yeah. Josh is who I used to dream about being like in the NFL. Big athletic quarterback, big arm, being able to be a dual threat guy. Yeah, I never had the arm talent that Josh had, so they kicked me over to tight end. And, you know, his ability to do everything, you know, obviously he's, you could tell he's really took the bull by the horns and really been their leader up front and channeled that. You know, guys come in and out of the building and he's the main piece in there making that thing go week in, week out. And I got so much respect for that guy.
You know, I don't know what their totals are, but they're not really turning the ball over a ton. Effective in the run game, obviously in the pass game. We know their quarterback is a great player, and they got weapons all around them. And then the guys up front, you know, we feel like they really are the ones that make it go. You know, they've solidified themselves as one of the best offenses in the league for a while. So it'll be a good challenge for us.
I mean, they don't like us. I mean, that's pretty. They do not like the Chiefs. But I mean, it is a cool environment. I love playing in like historic stadiums, and that stadium has had so many great players play in it. And who knows? It might be the last time that we get the opportunity to play there. It'll be a great challenge for us, and they're loud, and that's what you want. You want to go in and be in a hostile environment. That's what football, when you watch on TV as a kid growing up, is the environments you want to play in. And so obviously they're not rooting for us, but you get to bond together as a team and get to go into a historic stadium and play in a great environment.
You know, I have great respect for Andy and learned a lot from him, as you guys know, and we've gone up against each other a number of times now. There's been great battles, and I think that's, you know, one of the reasons you do this is the competition. You look forward to the competition, and no different this week. We know it's in front of us. We know the challenge that's in front of us.
Welcome back to Buffalo Bills Weekly. Time now for Morse Code with former Bills center Mitch Morse. And Mitch has an interesting perspective here because these are two of his former teams. He snapped the ball to both of these quarterbacks. So, Mitch, how do you watch these games now, you know, knowing both of those QBs pretty intimately? I mean, you're familiar with both of them, their style, their preparation. How do you watch these games?
Great question, Chris. I think by this time the novelty's worn off a little bit, especially playing against the Chiefs for so long. Now just kind of objectively watching the game. Of course, there's some subjective moments as a fan knowing these folks, but, you know, for the Chiefs, there's so much turnover. There's only, I'd say, 4 or 5 guys left on that team that I know and played with. And then for the Bills, I mean, a bunch. So it's interesting. But after watching this game and playing this game for about 10 or 12 times, novelty's definitely worn off just a touch.
Yeah. The Bills get back on track, wipe out that 2-game losing streak coming off the bye. So they come into this game with some much-needed momentum because the Chiefs have some too. I mean, I think since Week 7, they're leading the league in point differential after that 31-0 shutout of the Raiders and another big win on Monday night.
Yeah, Chris, this is a game of momentum, and both teams are going to come to a head. Both kind of hitting their stride. I know Buffalo hasn't had that 3-game winning streak like the Chiefs have, but, you know, they just come off a 232-yard rushing game. The Chiefs have given up 80 total yards rushing the last 2 weeks. It's two monsters coming together. Let's just look at it pragmatically. Like, these are two very good ball teams coming together. The Chiefs are on fire, and I know people don't want to hear it. It's the truth. They're probably the hottest team in the NFL, and I feel like it's here we go again. But the great thing is that the novelty's gone. Chris, the novelty's gone between these two ball clubs. It's just going to be, macho coming against one another at 4. I believe it's a 4 o'clock kickoff, which is a great kickoff time. It's between that little prime time, Daddy. It's great for especially people with kids here being able to watch the game, right? The iPads are coming out because this is going to be must-watch TV, and both of these teams have earned that right.
All right, so you already touched on that, being, you know, these two teams very familiar with one another. They're practically like division opponents because they've played every year for the last 6 seasons. So with all that familiarity, usually what we find are tightly fought games. Are you anticipating that?
Very much so. I think it's going to be a game that for the Bills, the thing that's kind of bitten them in the tail probably the last few weeks, maybe not so much this past week, was penalties. And it's going to come down to a game of, you hear it, and I hate it too, but it's a game of inches. It's also a game of execution, details, and it's going to come down to the details. And that's not sexy, but that's what these games are all about. It's what wins these games, and it's going to be a tight-fought match from the very beginning. Both these teams are very comfortable playing against each other, and they're both have been battle-tested in very tight games and also blowouts. So I think this is going to be a very tight game with coming down to the fourth quarter, maybe a field goal kick.
All right, and quickly, Mitch, we know that these two teams are probably going to be there at the end. So how much does this one weigh into the conference race, even sitting here, in week 9?
I think the biggest thing for this game is you got to look at it as just the next opponent, trying to get that home field advantage, because both of these places, that being Arrowhead and Highmark, are huge competitive advantages. So if you can, any implication for later in the season is huge. I don't want to make this game too big of a game for either team, but it is playing implications. I mean, for right now, the Bills have to work on getting back in first place of the division, right? And that's another stepping stone to that, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Mitch, as always, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. We'll catch up with you next week.
I appreciate you, Chris. Thanks, bud.
All right, that's Mitch Morse with Morse Code. Stay with us, because coming up next, we've got the latest on the brand new Highmark Stadium across the street. Plenty more to come here on Buffalo Bills Weekly.
Welcome back into Buffalo Bills Weekly. In this segment, we are covering all the new updates with the new Highmark Stadium. And to help us with that, we have the Senior Vice President of Design, Frank Cravotta, joining us right now. And Frank, one thing that people talked about as this new stadium was going up was the placement of the building, because as we know, Buffalo has lots of wind, and you place the building in a way where it wouldn't be terrible for the guys playing on the field.
Yeah, that's the hope. So we turned the building to lean into the wind that's mostly coming from the southwest off the lake, and we all know what that is like. So it can be brutal at times. So really what we did is the southwest corner is going to be the most protected from the wind with the aluminum skin that's around the facility.
Yeah, the aluminum skin is something that we all see when we're driving into work or driving past the new Highmark Stadium. I hear you did a wind study to make sure we're placing the building in the right place and we've got the right panels going on the facade. What did that study entail?
It was done right in Guelph, Ontario, right up the road here, so that was cool. We went to check it out, and really what it showed was how do we want to break the wind at the southwest, right? And that the wind then gets weakened as it goes up and over the building, and at the northeast of the building it's actually allowed to flow through. So what happens in the current building basically is that you get this vortex, and that's kind of the simple way to show how do we get wind through and around our new facility, and it doesn't trap any wind that comes back into the bowl.
So no vortex in the new Highmark Stadium, and the panels have to do with the fact that wind can move through or be redirected. How did you choose those panels?
The computer chose them.
Oh.
Yeah, so the computer basically, you can go from 50% porosity to about 70%.
Okay.
And that's all done by the computer model, which is pretty incredible.
And these wind panels, have they been used anywhere else in a stadium? Did you get any feedback as to this is how it's going to work here in Buffalo?
Yeah, they've been used a lot. This technology is used a lot. It's used in parking ramps and things like that. They used a similar product in Tottenham in England that we visited. So it's not a new technology, but we're using it to our advantage.
And as we drive through Buffalo and drive by Highmark Stadium, the new Highmark Stadium, we reference those panels that are going up that look great. You can see them from so many different parts of the highway and different parts of the city of Orchard Park, even Buffalo at large. Somebody told me they could see the stadium from Canada, which I thought was incredible. And the metal facade is something that sticks out. But there's been a design put in place with the thought of giving some love to a former stadium. Tell me about that.
Yeah, the rock pile had these vertical windows at the corners. The Memorial Auditorium had that too. So in our research, we saw this really beautiful aspect of the exterior design of those old facilities. And so if you look around the corner of our building, there's every other panel's indented as kind of an homage to that sports architecture in Buffalo from the past. So really love the way that turned out.
That's so cool. I drive by and I think, is that for the wind? But no, it's a design element, and I love that it has a story behind it.
Yeah.
Now it looks like it's almost complete. Where are we at with this facade and the top being done?
Yeah, the metal panels are about 80% done, so we're getting really close. They'll be done in probably a month or so. The cornice, which is the curved part along the top, is about 95% done. There's colonnades with the vertical elements. We just started those, so those will happen through the winter and into the spring. That's really the finishing touch on the exterior. But the exterior, as you can see, is getting really close to completion. It's beautiful. We're excited.
It is beautiful. It looks great. You should be proud of your work as it comes to completion in the months ahead. It looks awesome when you get to drive by. Thank you, Frank, for joining us. Don't go anywhere, because coming up next, we are diving into Buffalo's upcoming game and what the Bills need to do to get a win. Welcome back to Buffalo Bills Weekly. The Bills are taking on an opponent they know all too well in the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 9. Two MVP quarterbacks in Buffalo's Josh Allen and Kansas City's Patrick Mahomes will headline a matchup with so much meaning. Chris, we could look back on this game and say it had a lot of meaning when it comes to playoff seeding.
Absolutely. We know the situation that both teams are in, which is far different than this meeting last year when Kansas City came here 9-0 in Week 11. The pressure was completely off Kansas City. They had a healthy lead in the AFC conference race. Buffalo gets that win. Doesn't mean so much to Kansas City. This year, it's completely different. Kansas City starts 0-2. They've got 3 losses already. They're not even in first place in their division. They need this game badly. So does Buffalo, because they're looking up at New England in the AFC East. So both teams really need this game. I think it's going to make for a very intense battle.
After a slow start by Kansas City, they are completely rolling, winning 5 of the last 6. Their offense is on a heater, averaging more than 30 points per game since Week 4. What Kool-Aid are they drinking?
Well, here's the thing. All of their weapons are healthy or available off suspension. So I saw this back in Week 6. It was the first time the Kansas City Chiefs had Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, and Hollywood Brown all available and on the field at the same time. And we've seen the results since then. They are lighting up the scoreboard. Patrick Mahomes has an untold number of options. And it's also a reason why we're seeing Travis Kelce reemerge, because most defenses across the league do not have the depth of coverage players to cover all those weapons across the board. And they're so concerned with the speed demons that they're leaving Travis Kelce open, because they're putting probably their 4th or 5th best cover player on him, and he's eating.
Yeah, he has a lot of yards in the last 5 games. The Chiefs, number 1 in the NFL right now, passing offense since Week 5, and Patrick Mahomes has the most touchdowns in the NFL. When it comes to the Chiefs, who are firing on all cylinders right now, the Bills have got to be ready to play their best game. It's getting momentum early and keeping it. The defense helping out the offense. When it comes to the matchups in the game, what is the best recipe to beating the Chiefs?
Well, the Bills have to get that run game going and then work play action off of it. Kansas City, their defense has proven to be vulnerable against play action, and knowing they're going to want to stop James Cook because of the success he has had against them in some previous meetings, I think you could take advantage of that in the play action passing game. The other element here is they've really got to control the clock and limit Kansas City's possessions. They look virtually unstoppable, and yes, you have Hairston back. Jordan Hancock's a young player who brings some athleticism to the back end, but there just seems to be too many bases to cover in that Kansas City passing game. So the less possessions they have, the better. And I think this is a critical component to the Bills winning. They have to get 2 takeaways in this game. Buffalo is 4-0 in the regular season. In their last 4 regular season meetings against the Chiefs, they have averaged 2.2 takeaways in those games. Got to get a couple.
You have to get takeaways. You have to take possessions away from the Chiefs. Good thing for Buffalo, they lead the NFL in time of possession right now, over 33 minutes, and they're top 3 in first downs. That means to start the season, they've been doing a good job of staying on the field. When it comes to this type of matchup, you have best on best. That means you need somebody to be a spark for your team. You need someone to have a career game. Who's your X factor?
I'm going right back to 55. He was an X factor last week. Michael Hoyt has to be an X factor this week. And look, the Bills really have not had a game wrecker on the defensive side of the ball since the 8 games that, Von Miller was healthy a couple of years ago. And in one of those games, he pressured Mahomes into an interception that sealed the game for Buffalo that he threw to Taron Johnson. That's what Michael Hoyt has to be for the Bills. He has to get pressure on Mahomes with the rest of those guys up front, because I don't know if the guys on the back end have to cover for more than 3 seconds that they're going to be able to hold things down on the back end. Hoyt and company up front have to take care of pressure on the front end.
My X factor is tight end Dalton Kincaid. To beat the Chiefs, the passing offense has to come alive. Kincaid is a separator. He can find open zones. The Chiefs right now are allowing 82% completion percentage to tight ends. That's 4th worst. Find Kincaid and let him eat.
Yeah, off play action. Let's do it off play action.
Play action. Thank you for tuning in to Buffalo Bills Weekly. With a win, the Bills would have 5 straight in the regular season against the Chiefs. For Chris Brown, I'm Maddy Glab. We'll see you next time.